My name is Ruby.
Just because you see a smile does not mean everything is perfect. We all have a story. On the show, we discuss topics that are unspoken and taboo in our community. We are excited to have a candid conversation with our Haitian sister, Ishmel Cerisier. We will be discussing mental health, marital relationship problems, and her journey to transform lives one person at a time.
Welcome to the show.
Hi.
We're so happy to
This
have
is
you.
overdue.
Yes, I'm excited to be
We
here.
finally have you in the seat.
In the seat.
In the hot seat.
We're going to jump right into your story.
Okay.
With
Okay.
every guest, we lead the show with asking them to tell us a little bit about their childhood because we believe your childhood frames who you become as an adult.
Awesome. Well, we could definitely start there.
Okay.
Well, born and raised in Lakeland, Florida,
Oh,
Polk County.
All
all right.
Yes. Not too far, about an hour away.
Okay.
My dad came in the early 80s and he resided there and stayed there forever. He's
Okay.
Still there. And so growing up was great. As far as my childhood, there was some grief. I lost my mom when she was 36 years old. She
Okay.
had a heart attack.
Oh, sorry
Sorry.
to hear that.
Yes, it was a very rare case. And she ended up having a heart transplant. They gave her
Okay.
3 months to live.
Oh my
Yeah.
goodness.
And then she ended up dying
Less than the
earlier
time.
on
Okay.
within that. And so I was with my mom, and then I had to move in with my dad.
Okay.
So my dad and my godmother raised me
Okay.
until his wife came from Haiti.
Okay.
And it's just been a blessing to have my dad.
Yes.
He's we talked about that transition, and I never knew how afraid he was of raising me on his own.
He
Yeah.
didn't think he could do it. A man, he felt
yeah,
like he
I
couldn't.
was the first child,
Yes.
the only child at the time.
Okay.
Oh, my goodness.
I have other siblings, but we're like 10, 15, 15
Wow.
years
Oh,
of gap
wow.
there.
Okay.
So it was, just to hear the anxiety that he had and the support of the village. So I was one of those kids
Yes.
raised by the
village.
village.
We need that this day and age.
Yes, we need it
Yes,
now.
yes, by the church that I had, the pastor that I had, the family that I had. So it was one of those things where I'm a true believer that it does take a village.
Yes, it does.
definitely.
I've noticed a difference in society now. There's not much villages going
No.
on, and it's a shame.
It is a shame.
because
People are scared.
yeah, people are scared, or you can't really talk to people, kids.
No, you can't.
Or you can't say anything.
can't discipline nothing.
Or, I mean, even with the church community, when being raised in my own church community, everyone was looked at as a parent, as someone
That's
that
right.
could
That's right.
nourish you.
Correct. And you listened.
And we listened.
Sure did.
Right. You didn't curse at
Yes.
them.
Yes.
Right. You listened.
Well, I
you
tried.
respected them.
I try to respect them as much as I can. I was still a child. I was,
Staying a child's place.
yes, yes. But in reference to that, I had a great childhood, and as far as my family dynamic,
Good.
as far as like being in school, we were in where I was raised and where I grew up, there was some bullying going on.
Okay.
I was bullied about being Haitian.
Oh, yeah.
Growing up, there was like other things that, impact my self-esteem.
Yeah.
They felt like you were different. That's what it
Yes.
is. They didn't know.
Yes.
You weren't American.
Yes.
So
Yes.
they were like, "Who is this girl?
Right.
She
does-
speaks, different. She
Right.
doesn't
look
She
like
looks a
us.
little different. Who is she?"
Yes, yes, and it's one of those things, and I think a lot of Haitian Americans can identify. It was like, okay, we're all together until your parents come into the to the PTA meetings,
Right.
or they
Right.
come and pick you up, or they see you somewhere,
Right.
and then there's Creole speaking,
Right.
and it's just a different dialect.
It is different.
It's just a different cultural aspect at
Correct.
that moment. So. It was scary. It
tough.
was a tough time, and
Yeah.
we didn't really have resources like now.
Now,
Of course.
So
There's
right,
everything
Yeah,
now.
times have changed.
time has changed, and so we had to kind of deal with it ourselves.
Yeah.
We know.
Internally, so you're just suffering.
Yes.
Yes.
The
Yes.
same thing happened to us too.
Yes.
We had to deal with it our own.
A lot.
And it's not like your parents, family probably couldn't even help you
They couldn't.
with
They
your
didn't.
homework and things like that.
Oh yeah. That's funny you say that because my kids. I have 19-year-old.
You look so young.
Yes, I started early. I have a 19-year-old and a 16-year-old,
Okay.
and you know, when they're like asking me, "Mom, I'm going on field trips. I
Right.
need you to fill this out
Right.
and do these things," and I'm like, "Wow!" Like I was doing all that for my dad,
Right.
You know,
That's right.
I was like, because he didn't have the time. He worked so much.
That's right.
And, you know, we had to be the translator. We had to
Everything.
open the mails. We had to read them.
Everything.
We had to call the customer service
We grew up
lines.
early, though, didn't we? We
Yes.
had to.
Yes.
We
And
had to.
I think it pushed us to independency quicker
Absolutely.
than we needed
Correct.
to.
And most of the time, you know what? Women, the girls seem, for some reason, to be more independent.
Yes,
we grew
than the
faster.
guys.
We were
Yes,
more
we
responsible
did.
in the kitchen,
Cooking,
doing
cleaning.
chores.
Oh my goodness.
Yes, we really did. And I mean, not by choice.
No, we had to.
But they were all beneficial in our upbringing
Right.
into being adults and being responsible
right.
beings as we are today.
That's right. I'm
Yes.
thankful for that.
I'm very thankful for
Yes.
that. So, but I can say that the bullying and there were a lot of anxiety as well because I think as I was, you know, when you're being bullied, you're anxious about going into the hallway, you're
course.
anxious about what you're wearing, you're anxious about, you know, what today is going to look like.
Right.
You know, instead of like sitting at your desk, you're contemplating on who's looking at
Right.
you, is someone going to say something. So a
Right.
lot of anxiety building happened around those years.
And you're trying to learn. You're trying to get your
Listen.
education.
Trying to
but
learn
you're
and
so,
adapt.
You're so
Yes.
scared trying to figure out, okay, what now? Thank you for joining us for another awesome conversation. Let's talk about it, the Candid Conversation Show. My name is Muriel.
And my name is Ruby.
Just because you see a smile does not mean everything is perfect. We all have a story. On the show, we discuss topics that are unspoken and taboo in our community. We are excited to have a candid conversation with our Haitian sister, Ishmel Cerisier. We will be discussing mental health, marital relationship problems, and her journey to transform lives one person at a time.
Welcome, welcome to the show.
Hi.
We're so happy to
This
have
is
you.
overdue.
Yes, I'm excited to be
We
here
finally have you in the seat.
In the seat.
in the hot seat.
We're going to jump right into your story.
Okay.
With
Okay.
every guest, we lead the show with asking them to tell us a little bit about their childhood because we believe your childhood frames who you become as an adult.
Awesome. Well, we could definitely start there.
Okay.
Well, born and raised in Lakeland, Florida,
Oh,
Polk County.
All
all right.
Yes. Not too far, about an hour away.
Okay.
My dad came in the early 80s and he resided there and stayed there forever. He's
Okay.
Still there. And so growing up was great. As far as my childhood, there were some grief. I lost my mom when she was 36 years old. She
Okay.
had a heart attack.
Oh, sorry
Sorry.
to hear that.
Yes, it was a very rare case. And she ended up having a heart transplant. They gave her
Okay.
3 months to live.
Oh my
Yeah.
goodness.
And then she ended up dying less, you know,
Less than a
earlier
time.
on
Okay.
within that. And so I was with my mom, and then I had to move in with my dad.
Okay.
So my dad and my godmother raised me
Okay.
until his wife came from Haiti.
Okay.
And it's just been a blessing to have my dad. He's, you know, we talked about that transition, and I never knew how afraid he was of raising me on his own.
He
Yeah.
didn't think he could do it. A man, he felt like he
I
couldn't.
I was the first child,
Yes.
the only child at the time.
Oh my goodness.
I have other siblings, but we're like 10, 15, 15
Wow.
years of
Oh,
gap
wow.
there.
Okay.
So it was, you know, just to hear the anxiety that he had and the support of the village. So I was one of those kids
Yes.
raised by the
village.
village.
We need that this day and age.
Yes, we need it now.
Yes, by the church that I had, the pastor that I had, the family that I had. So it was one of those things where I am a true believer that it does take a village.
Yes,
it does.
definitely.
You know, I've noticed a difference in society now. There's not much villages going
No.
on, and you know, it's a shame.
It is
you
a
know,
shame.
because
People are scared.
yeah, people are scared, or you can't really talk to people, kids.
No, you
Or
can't.
you can't say anything.
discipline nothing.
Or I mean, even with the church community, when I, being raised in my own church community, everyone was looked at as a parent, as someone that could nourish you.
Correct. And you listened.
And we listened.
Sure did.
Right. You didn't curse at them.
Yes.
Right? You listened.
Well, I
you
tried.
respected them.
I try to respect them as much as I can. I was still a child.
Stay in a child's place.
Yes, yes. But in reference to that, I had a great childhood, and as far as my family dynamic.
Good.
As far as like being in school, we were in where I was raised and where I grew up, there was some bullying going on.
Okay.
I was bullied about being Haitian.
Oh,
growing up, there was like other things that, impact my self-esteem.
Yeah.
They felt like you were different. That's what it is. They didn't know. You weren't American, So they were like, who is this girl?
Right.
She speaks, different.
Right.
She looks a little different. Who is she?
Yes. And it's one of those things, and I think a lot of, Haitian Americans can identify. It was like, okay, we're all together until your parents come into the to the PTA meetings, or they come and pick you up, or they see you somewhere, and then there's Creole speaking, and it's just a different dialect. It's just a different cultural aspect at that moment. So it was scary. It was a tough time, and we didn't really have resources like now.
Of course.
So
There's everything now.
Times have changed.
Time has changed, and so we had to kind of deal with it ourselves.
Yeah.
We know.
Internally, so you're just suffering.
Yes.
The same thing happened to us too.
Yes.
We had to deal with it our own.
A lot.
And it's not like, your parents, family probably couldn't even help you
They couldn't.
with your homework and things like that.
Oh yeah. That's funny you say that because, my kids, I have a 19-year-old.
You look so young.
Yes, I started early. I have a 19-year-old and a 16-year-old, and when they're like asking me, "Mom, I'm going on field trips. I need you to fill this out and do these things," and I'm like, "Wow!" Like I was doing all that for my dad,
right?
That's
right.
I was like, because he didn't have the time. He worked so much.
That's right.
And, we had to be the translator. We had to
Everything.
open the mails. We had to read them.
Everything.
We had to call the customer service
We grew up
lines.
early, though, didn't we? We had to.
Yes.
We
and
had
I
to.
think it pushed us to independency quicker
Absolutely.
than we needed
Correct.
to.
And most of the time, you know what? Women, the girls seem, for some reason, to be more independent.
Yes,
we grew
than the
faster.
guys.
We were
Yes,
more
we
responsible
did.
in the kitchen,
Cooking,
doing
cleaning.
chores.
Oh my goodness.
Yes, we really did. And I mean, not by choice.
No,
No.
we had to.
But they were all beneficial in our upbringing into being adults and being responsible
right.
beings as we are today.
That's right. I'm thankful for that.
I'm very thankful for that. So, but I can say that the bullying and there were a lot of anxiety as well, because I think as I was, when you're being bullied, you're anxious about going into the hallway, you're anxious about what you're wearing, you're anxious about, what today is going to look like.
Right.
Instead of like sitting at your desk, you're contemplating on who's looking at you, is someone going to say something.
Right.
So a lot of anxiety building happened around those years.
And you're trying to learn. You're trying to get your education.
Trying to learn and adapt.
You're so scared trying to figure out, okay, what now? What's going to happen today?
What's going to happen today?
Yeah.
So I think that is why I became a mental health licensed therapist, is because a lot of times these kids need that voice and that understanding, someone who can like, oh, I know what you're going through, and here are some things, here's some coping mechanisms to help you cope with it and learn these, learn different ways of building self-esteem and self-worth.
But did you know, when did you make that decision that this is what I'm going to do? This is the career path that I'm going to choose. When did you make that decision?
Yeah, so I guess I'll have to go back a little bit because my undergrad is in business.
Okay. Business administration.
Yes, well, it was in marketing.
Okay.
And so I was like, I'm going to be this marketing executive, this brand executive, and I was in the business world, I was in the clubs in college and everything, and I worked, and then we all know the 2008 crash happened,
Yes.
And my job ended up laying people off.
You were one of those people?
But here's the thing. They announced it, but I had already said, you know what, I'm going back home.
Yes.
Okay. Because I was in Miami at the time. I was like, nope, I'm going back home. And so packed up, went home, and then I started subbing.
Okay.
And as I was substituting, I taught as well, but then I subbed. And then these kids, these teenagers will come to my classroom and tell me about all these things they were experiencing, and I'm just hearing them out, and whether it was self-esteem or trauma.
Okay.
And I was like, wow.
Is it just the island kids?
It
Caribbean kids, or just
it was
everyone.
Okay.
It was everyone,
Okay.
every
Everyone.
race, it
Doesn't
was
matter.
Because it is everywhere.
It's everywhere. Doesn't discriminate.
Yes, and being in Polk County, there is a larger,
Correct.
Caribbean. Well, it's actually a larger Caucasian population.
Okay.
But there are African Americans, depending on where the location, the region
That's right.
is.
Polk County.
Yes,
That's right.
Yes, but there are a community, a Haitian community,
Okay.
that we are all aware of, and we stick together
Yes.
because of how small the community is. But it was through that transition and hearing about the kids and going through their traumas and listening, and I'm like, wow, I want to learn more. I want to know how I can help them, and not only with my experience, but I want to be able to be educated and learning and knowing what I need to do to help them. So I decided to get my master's.
All right.
Wow.
Yes.
Congratulations.
Yes, thank you. And then I started my journey there, and started helping out the adolescence age group, and I did that for about 5 years. And then my niche changed.
Just a little bit, huh?
Just a little bit.
That happens.
I was working at a private practice, and then I started getting a lot of couples.
Okay.
And then one couple told another couple told another couple.
And it spread.
And it spread
Like
rampant.
wildfire.
Yes. So I started doing marriage counseling, couples counseling. And here I am now at my private practice. I would say
Excuse me.
80%.
Wow.
80% of my clients are couples counseling.
Oh my goodness.
But you still mentor or
I
counsel
am.
children.
Oh yes,
as
I
well.
still
Okay.
accept children.
Okay.
I still mentor. I still try to speak out and get that word in. And a lot of the kids that I work with now has a lot to do with the bullying and self-esteem.
You're
A
able
lot
to
of
help.
anxiety.
Yes.
As we know, we're in a peak of anxiety
Yes.
right
This
now.
is the time.
This is the time of anxiety, and I can definitely understand that because, as I mentioned, growing up and having to be anxious because of the bullying.
Yes.
Right.
But as I got older, my anxiety shifted in a way too, because being that my mom passed away at 36.
Okay, so you had that loss.
The closer I got into 36 years old,
You got scared.
Yes.
I got a lot of anxiety
Of
towards
course.
that.
Am I going to have heart problems?
Am I going to generate these things?
Right.
Am I, looking at my children,
Exactly.
my family?
Or my children going to have to live
Yes,
without me?
Exactly. So you start thinking about all these different things. So, and God has been so good.
Yes.
God has been good.
Yeah.
Yeah, you look
Everything has
great.
been cleared, and I'm
That's
good. And it's just, once again, anxiety is one of those things. If we don't take care of ourselves
Yes.
and have self-care, which
That's
is what
number one.
Self-care.
Oh God,
It's
I
important.
teach that a lot.
Yeah, take
Self-care is so important.
Just take care of
You
yourself.
know,
You
and
have
I
to.
tell people, don't wait to take care of yourself when there is a problem. Take care of yourself
Now.
now.
Right.
So when you endure those, those trials and those situations,
Right.
You can make it.
you can make it.
Yes.
You could be prepared for it.
That's right.
So
You know what I like? This couples counseling that you have,
Mm-hmm.
the marriage counseling. But it's not just for married. You don't have to be married. It's couples.
it's couples, whether it's premarital or just couples just having a lot of issues, whether
Yes.
it's infidelity,
Right.
communication, trust,
Right.
which is, my number one problem. The number one problem that I see in couples is communication.
Yes.
Second is finances.
Yes.
And third is trust.
Wow.
And I think, once again, it stems from your childhood.
Your upbringing.
You know, what happened in your home? What did you see?
Yes.
in
What
your
did you
home?
learn?
You know, what did you see? Were your parents together? Was your father a cheater? Was your mother a cheater? Different
It's
things
just
that
a
you see in the
repetitive
home.
cycle.
Oh, yeah, I agree. That's why in my initial session, I always ask about what what were your family dynamics like? What was your upbringing?
Correct.
That's
What
everything.
did your mom teach you about a woman? What
How do you
did your
take care of
dad
yourself?
teach you about being a man?
A man, right?
Right? How was emotions expressed in your home?
Very
You
good.
know,
Right. All
Right?
those are great questions.
Those are great questions
Right.
because a lot of things that we do unintentionally, because we got an unconscious mind that
Yes.
buries everything
Everything.
in there.
Everything.
Your behavior, your emotions, you know, why we do what we do, our traumas.
Right.
They're all buried beneath in our unconscious mind that we suppress.
Yes.
That's right.
So we walk consciously, not thinking about all that suppression that we buried.
That's right. Until something happens.
Until
So something happens.
happens.
Oh my.
Because, you know, for me, I went through a nasty divorce. And what I thought about were my children. My children were number one, the reason why I said I have to get out of this situation. It was an abusive situation, abusive relationship. So my kids made me say goodbye. You have to say goodbye. But my thing is, I thought, okay, what am I going to do? How am I going to raise my children on my own? I can't be a father to my son. I can't be a father to my daughter. I can only be mom.
That's it.
So you think about that, and then my kids develop. They have that. That's a trauma
Yes.
to them as well. You know, my son, he had some issues where he needed that male figure. Yes, I have my brothers. I have my brother-in-law, but they still are missing. They still miss that father.
Of course.
Their
It's different.
father. So I had to get a mentor involved.
Yes.
So
that's
I
good.
commend you on what it is that you're
Absolutely.
doing. You're the voice that young people need.
Absolutely.
Because their
Yes.
parents, we're busy working.
Oh, yes.
We're busy working.
Two parents have to work now.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
To
You know,
survive.
so a lot
Yes.
of times the kids are by themselves, you know, and you can't always be there for your child. So I'm thankful for people like you and what it
Absolutely.
is that you're doing for the community, in the community,
Very
to help. You know, we need
I
that.
agree. I agree. And I think that, you know, I always tell my clients it takes a lot of energy. It's just energy, you know, and if you don't have that energy where it could be dispersed, you know, amongst your children, amongst your job, you know, prioritization,
Correct.
you know, yes, the bills must be paid.
Yes.
You know, and I think in the physical form, things are it's easier to work through them.
Right.
But things that are not what you can see,
Right.
it's harder to kind of work through them
Very
and see
hard.
through them, which is that emotions.
Yeah.
And
There
You
you
that's-
know,
go.
those emotions
Yes.
and trying to understand where your child is and having that communication and the blockage in your own traumas.
There
You
go.
know, because a lot of times we ignore because we've learned to ignore.
Of
Right.
course.
And learned to numb.
But
And
we were
therefore-
raised that way
We
too.
learn. You have to be strong.
You got to keep going. You just dust
Keep
yourself
pushing.
off
Mit
and keep it
vom
moving.
That's
Yeah,
it.
mit vom Zug.
That's it. That's
That's it. You got to be brave. You got to be strong, and never let them see you sweat.
That's right.
You got to
And I-
keep moving no matter what.
I hate that.
And then we
I-
break.
Oh yes.
Yes.
Then we crack.
Oh yes. And we crack bad.
And
Yeah,
yeah,
we
we
crack
crack
that,
really
you
bad.
know.
And that's why now it's up to us to break that generational
Absolutely.
curse and speak to our children.
Yes.
Whatever it is that you want to talk about,
Let's talk about it.
Yes. And be open.
be open.
You have
Be
to be.
open.
Talk about anything and everything, no matter what it is.
Right. And I'm not saying I'm your best friend. Come
No,
talk to
I'm
me.
your
Right.
mama. I'm still your mom.
It needs to be on a parental level
Right.
and
Right.
openness and
Yes.
making sure that you have that dialogue and communication and understanding.
Because if they don't get that from you or have that or
Right.
feel that they can come and
They're going to
speak
go
to
to
you,
somebody else.
Yes.
they're going to go to someone else and somewhere else. And that
Yes.
somewhere else might not be positive.
There you go.
Exactly. And not only that, your own self-awareness. You know,
There you go.
it's we want others to see through us and talk to us, but if you know, do you look in a mirror? Would you talk to yourself?
There you go. There you go.
You know what I
Yes.
mean? Would you talk to yourself?
Give
You
yourself
know,
advice.
Right, right. So that self-awareness is needed so that you can also look at your faults. What are some things that you need to change or work on or be
Correct.
better at? Because your kids are watching. They're
Of
sponge,
course.
you know, they're sponges.
They are.
See
the-
everything, hear
they
everything.
Mm-hmm. You think they don't see it or hear it?
Oh yeah, they do. They do.
That's why you have to be careful who you bring around your children.
Absolutely.
Oh goodness,
Always.
yes, always.
Yes.
So that's been a blessing just to be able to, you know, have that ability to work with individuals and
Right.
work with children and kind of open those doors of
Yeah.
self-awareness so they could be a better them.
I love that.
That's what I was saying for last week's show, that they need to introduce this into schools.
Oh yes.
Because
Oh, yes.
I was saying that I needed that when I was growing up. So I hope that they introduce it here in Florida to the schools. We need that.
Well, they definitely have done a big improvement. I mean,
Over
even
the
from
years.
5 years
Yeah.
ago
Okay.
to now, there are like the mobile crisis where, you know, you could call 211 and ask for someone.
Right.
If your child's in crisis, there are mental health counselors in the schools.
So good.
There's social workers.
I'm glad they brought
Very
that in.
good.
They are, you know, there's just a crisis line. The suicide hotline is being more and more accessible for people to see and know.
Yes.
They're opening up now.
They're
They have
opening
to.
up, you know. So
The shame is not there.
The shame-
as much as it
As
was
much as it
before,
was.
I mean,
Yes.
it is still.
there's a stigma.
Yes,
That's
there's a
just
bad
in
stigma.
our community.
There
There's
you
a
go.
lot of
It's
work
true.
we need to do.
Absolutely.
But also, that's because of what? That's how we were raised.
Yes, yes.
And
That's
that's
how
where it all
we
comes
raised.
from.
Right. Keep your mouth shut. Stop telling your people your business.
Yes.
Keep it at home.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah.
And which I understand that because we don't want to take away of, you know, being mindful who you tell.
Exactly.
Oh, you
Because
have to be
there-
mindful
you
now.
know,
You
there's
can't tell
some-
everybody your business.
Oh no, but I think if understanding the role of a mental health counselor,
Right.
the you know the privacy,
Correct.
understanding confidentiality,
Right. You're not going to go and spread their business.
right, right.
You
That
know,
is
it's
not
between the two of
intention.
us.
Exactly, unless you want to harm yourself,
Yes.
or you want to harm somebody else. I'm gonna have to do something.
Yes.
Right.
I
You
have
have
to
to step
tell
in.
somebody. I have to step in. You know, there's procedures and process for that. But other than that, it's your safe haven, and
Yeah.
that's what I do. I provide that safe haven
haven.
for clients to be themselves
Right.
and help them guide, guide themselves into what they trying to become or awareness for,
Right.
to be a better person.
Essential Life Counseling. It's a private practice. How long has this been in existence?
Well, it's been in the works for a year, but I finally went through with it in the beginning of this year.
Good for you.
Yes.
Good for you. Congratulations.
Awesome. Congrats.
Thank you. It is my baby. It is a business that I prayed upon and God has given to me.
It's here.
And He had to push me out of where I was to start it.
Were you scared?
Get it going.
Like, I can't do this. I'm not going to do
Well, for my situation, it wasn't so much of being thinking that I couldn't do it.
Okay.
I knew I had the potential to
To
do
do
it.
it.
It was just do it.
this.
Yes.
Step out.
Just
Step out on
step
faith.
out and
Yes.
just stop
jump.
it.
Just jump.
Oh, I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna wait till next week.
We do
next
that all the
week
time.
and Next week.
Next week became a year.
Listen,
or two.
listen. And I could feel God like pushing me,
Yes,
like
yes.
like He was like grabbing me by my legs, and I'm just kicking.
Not yet. Not yet.
Oh my
I know
gosh.
I could do it, but I had to, get myself to starting it. And let me tell you, I have not done any marketing, and God has been so,
See?
I'm telling you, blessed.
Yes, that
Yes.
speaks
With
volumes.
the word of
Yes.
mouth
That's
of
right.
others.
Yes.
So it's been an amazing
Happy for
journey.
you.
That's
I
awesome.
don't regret it at all.
Good.
So it's been,
Good.
it's those blessings
Yeah.
that keeps me going and trusting God and
That's number
knowing
one for
that,
sure.
He is definitely, He's here for me.
Yes,
right.
yes.
He
Yeah,
is.
he's here for me too.
Mhm.
Yes, all of us. All of us.
That's
Yes,
right.
ma'am.
We need
As-
to know that.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, yes.
For myself, I'm the CEO of 2 mental health facilities, and that's stressful.
Huh.
It's overwhelming.
I know.
So what keeps you motivated?
This is a passion for me.
Okay.
It is a passion for me. And, it is something that I know God has gifted me to be here, to do what I do and to love what I do. I do not feel like I'm working.
Yes.
And I take care of myself. I
Okay.
allow myself to, I pray, I do my own, self-care
Yes.
where I make sure that I'm prioritizing myself.
That's right.
Okay.
Is it a challenge? Yes,
Of course.
because there's so many other things you could be doing.
Of course.
Oh, yes.
But you have to prioritize yourself because I need to be available for my clients.
Yes, yes.
And I need to be
Right.
most important available for me.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yes.
You first.
Me first. But it is definitely a passion for me. When I have my clients come in, I really take the time to learn them, to know what I could do to help them, and you know, it's a serious job for me, and I'm blessed to be able to do that.
God bless you.
Yes,
Wow.
but it is stressful.
Yes,
it
it
can
is.
be very stressful, especially if you're seeing multiple clients in the day, and you know,
'Cause you take on their issues as well.
Oh yeah. So you have to be able to have those boundaries. Without boundaries, you're going to not, you know, you're not going to be able to function.
No.
So those are the things that helps me along the way.
How do you leave it all behind? When you're leaving that office and you know you've got to go be mommy,
Oh yeah.
what do you do? How do you prepare yourself for walking into your own home, into your space, you know, your family? How do you do that? Leaving an office, hearing everybody's, you know, the couple or couples that you've met throughout the day, and they've told you and you help them with all their problems. What do you do at the end of the day going home?
So a lot of, it's interesting you say that, because a lot of what I do is more in the evenings. So for me, I leave work at work, as anybody, you know,
have to.
when you punch in or clock in and you're at work and you're like, okay, I'm done, and I go home.
Exactly.
I'm done.
Because if not, you're going to carry it over. And I like to deal with things head on, and that helps me when I leave the office, or if I'm doing, doing it online.
Right.
I know we're done. This is it.
You have
and
to.
just keeping
Exactly.
those boundaries, and then, because if not, you're going to lose yourself.
Yeah.
Not only that, you'll lose your family. Because I know a lot of times people, whatever is going on in the office, they bring it home.
Yes.
And it's okay to talk to your spouse or your partner about that, but don't take whatever anger or whatever you're dealing with, bring it into the home and take it out on your family.
Yeah, you definitely don't want to do that. And, and it's not, once again, we're talking about healthy boundaries.
Yeah.
It's just not healthy to even be that way. And then, once again, we want our children to talk to us.
Absolutely.
We want our husbands and our partners to be, we don't want them steering away from us.
No.
And that's my own marital problem.
I know, right?
Happens,
You got to counsel yourself.
Right. At that point, let me call my therapist. But no, it's making sure that, the boundaries are set. When the clock is out, the clock is out.
That's good.
And then it starts again when it starts again.
That's right.
And just having those appropriate boundaries. Now, it wasn't always like that.
Of course, yes.
Because when I started, I was doing court-ordered clients, and I was I didn't know what was going on, because a lot of them was stemming from substance abuse.
Okay.
And child abuse.
Oh my goodness.
Those were the big ones. And then being that I was Haitian, I got a lot of the Haitian clients, and they gave me 1 hour.
That's it. 1 hour is not enough.
Let me tell you, with our people, I worked for free a lot.
Because your heart is in it.
Yeah.
I did. I would be in there. We would have a conversation, and I'm trying to build insight, and I would be there for 3 hours.
My goodness.
Easy.
And at the end, it was like, okay, I understand what you mean. I get it.
Yes.
And I thank you for that. So it's, once again, it has to be a passion to get to that point.
It has to
Correct.
be.
Otherwise, you just walk out.
Listen.
Say, forget it.
You do your 1 hour and you're
And
gone.
that's it. You got to go. It's time for you to get up and go.
I'm telling
Next.
you, right? But it was such a passion, and I did not want to see them again in the system.
Right.
Because there's a lot of them, they don't understand. I have sat in court as a subject matter expert in court, and I can hear my fellow Haitian parents say, I'll do it again.
Oh my
because
goodness.
it's just because they just don't understand it.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So at that point, it's like, okay, we're going to have to, this is going to be my client. We're going to have to go on the drawing board. We're going to have to, I'm going to have to really help them gain that insight.
Right, because you don't want to see them go down the wrong path.
No,
you don't want to, so you break it down.
Oh, no.
Thank goodness you're bilingual.
Yeah.
But you can also help, because sometimes that's an issue where they're not understanding.
Yeah, it's a barrier with them.
It's a lot of, and not to mention, there's cultural acceptance as well, and just understanding the difference. A lot of our parents came in here with the same, they didn't understand the cultural, differences, and even the laws. I mean, other than the laws that there are very, of course, certain things you can't do. But when it comes to children being raised, I mean, who tells you how to raise your children and what to do with them?
Right.
So it's like helping them understand
This is how it's done here.
this is how it's done as far as prioritizing the safety of the child.
children.
You know,
Right.
understanding the line between child abuse and discipline.
Yes.
Right. You can't want to kill your child.
Wow.
Listen.
There's a way to
Come on.
discipline
You
your
know.
child without killing
And
them.
then let's talk about your emotional impact on the situation.
Right.
Because if you are already an anxious person and then you get something or bad news or homework or whatever it is that you're trying to help your child with, your anxiety
Not gonna work.
will have you get that belt and hit
Yes.
anywhere.
That's right. It's not going to work.
No.
You know, so let's talk about your mental health and
Let's
how
talk about it.
you cope with your
Exactly.
distress and traumas.
Right. You need to control yourself
Control
first.
yourself.
There
Walk
we
out
go.
the door.
Before-
Take a walk.
There we go.
Count to 10.
Self-control.
There
When
you
you
go.
hear something, instead of responding immediately where you react,
Right.
you know, negatively,
Yes.
what are some coping mechanisms? Like you said, take a walk. Or let me go take a bath.
Yes.
Or let me go, you know, listen to some music.
Yes.
You know,
Journal.
let me revisit this tomorrow.
Right.
Because today I'm heightened. I had a stressful day at
Right.
work.
So I can't respond right
And
now.
I can't respond. And this process is for anybody.
Any and
Anyone.
everyone.
You know?
Anyone.
But it's, you know, like I said, because of what I did for 5 years and I saw a lot of our people hurt more, I felt like, okay, there is work that needs to be done.
Right.
And I did it. And like I said, I probably, I
You
probably
saved a lot of
worked-
people.
Listen, and worked a lot of free hours. I can tell you there's a lot
But
of
you're
pro
passionate
bono.
about it. You want to help people.
But I love it. I'm passionate
Right.
about it. And I would do it again.
Yes.
I would
Yes.
do it again.
because you're helping.
I'm helping, and if I can do one person,
Yep.
I know I've done
That's
something.
right. You've
That's
done
it.
it.
I've done
Oh
something.
my gosh, I love that.
I do too. What do you
Yes.
consider as the major causes of mental illness or issues nowadays?
So there are different components of mental health. You know, you have genetic dispositions. You know, you have your schizophrenia, you have your anxiety, depression,
Yes.
right? Bipolar. They're finding a lot of genetic dispositions with
Yeah.
that. And then you have the environment in which you were raised.
Okay.
You know, whether it was outside, internal, or external. Internal and external environments. And then, you know, you have other abuse, right? You have sexual abuse. You have substance misuse.
Right.
So there's so many different
So many.
avenues as to what causes mental illness. And kind of going back to the environment, I
Yes.
mean, we have those external factors, like we have COVID.
Yes.
Some people have never experienced anxiety until COVID happened
Right.
because it's a heightened time
Yes.
where you're hearing deaths, you're hearing different things about it. So an individual that may have never had anxiety or depression or, you know, job loss or trying to, you know, get their kids into school and all
Right.
these different issues
lot.
can generate a lot of mental illness
That's right.
or acute stressors.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, I know it's difficult for young people as well.
Yes.
I was saying how there's a young man that committed suicide at like the company that I work for. And here he is at 26 years old and he felt like there was no way out. You know, you've got the stresses of COVID, the pandemic that's going on. You've got your own personal stress. And, you know, here he commits suicide and now what happens to his friends or the person that's sitting right next to him that, you know, was his friend that they talked about things. What happened to his parents? What happens to his parents? That here I'm losing I've lost my child. So the world is so stressful. I encourage everyone that if you're going through a hard time to please reach out to someone.
Yes.
Please reach out to
I
someone and
agree.
speak to
Yes.
someone.
Yes, suicide is real.
Yes.
It is real, and I don't think people understand. Even if it's not a plan, how many times people think of suicidal ideation, the thought of disappearing,
Yes.
the thought that I just want to remove myself
Like, I
from
don't
this
matter, I don't need to
situation.
be here.
I don't matter, I don't need to be here. And then the pressures of the children, like simple things to you are great
Yes. Yes.
and more effective for somebody else.
That's right.
So we have to pay attention to our loved ones, and when they are stressors or when they are silent or they're not themselves, check on them.
See what's going on.
You know, people think that suicide, people just give up. Well, it's not so much give up, it's lack of resources, it's lack of understanding.
Right.
as far as like, you know, understanding how to cope with what they're going through.
And scared, pride.
Exactly.
They don't want to. They just don't
It's
want to.
so many different things. So it's like we have to pay attention to our loved ones.
Not only that, not if they're just sad and down and out. The person could be a jokester, a comedian. They could, you know, be the class clown.
Yes.
You have to watch out for those people as
out
well
for
because they're just
strong. The strong-willed people. You know, these are coping mechanisms. A lot of people have a lot of different defense mechanisms, really, where their defenses is humor. Defenses is I'm going to show up. I'm going to be strong all the time. I will never show a break point. You know. And these are the people we have to watch out for because they need us.
Yes.
They
and
need
number
us.
one, we need to watch out for the people that are directly in our homes, speaking about our children.
Yes.
They're right there with us, and sometimes we ignore a lot of things that are happening. I try to always tell my kids that I love them. I love them. Sometimes I say it several times throughout the day just to let them know I'm here for you. I love you. You know, I just don't want them to feel like, you can talk to me about anything. I don't want them to feel like
they're alone.
They're alone and that they can't speak to their own parent that's in the house right there with them. Don't be scared. Whatever it is, we can deal with it.
Yes, I agree.
Yes.
It's important that we have that, you know, understanding so that your kids can talk to you and have that openness with you and not be afraid.
Yes.
I think fear, you know, fear is one of the things that stop things from actually happening and being in the forefront, and whether it's your fear, their fear in general, you know, and that builds upon anxiety and that builds upon, you know, why we may not say anything or I can't express who I am. I can't be my true self. So let me adopt this false self and then
pretend.
lose self.
Imposter
Yeah,
syndrome.
you forget, you lose yourself. You don't even know who you are anymore.
That's right. And then you want everybody else to.
Thank you. Oh, wow.
That is the truth.
What would you say to somebody who's fearful of going to therapy?
Okay. So a lot of times the fear of therapy is not understanding what therapy is. So therapy does not mean you're crazy.
Right.
Okay. I hear a lot of that. Matter of fact, I have never met anybody crazy ever. All right. I've never had anybody crazy.
Right.
I have normal people that go through normal things in different ways.
There you go.
And they just don't know how to deal with it. They need a little help and
they
direction.
They just need the tools.
Just the tools, you know. And I've seen people come in and say, hey, I just need you to, I need to just come in here and vent.
Yes.
I just want to, it's too much and I want it out. You know, I have people that, look, I made a lot of poor decisions and it's over and over and over again. Maybe it's me. Maybe I am the problem or anger issues. So it's really about gaining insight about yourself. I encourage everyone to at least do one session.
Yes.
Do one session.
You'd be amazed.
And you'll be amazed of just how much of an impact it actually truly has. Just one session to just kind of get an idea of what it is and removing the stigma that you got to be crazy or something got to be wrong.
For you to see someone.
You know, I tell clients, hey, don't wait till it's really bad. You know, try to do it as early as you can.
Once you start feeling something, once that pressure starts to rise.
Do not wait till, I mean, people do, and that's fine too, but, you know, it's insight about yourself.
You know when something's not right.
Yeah.
And that you need to speak to someone.
Yeah, especially if you have you know, it's remedial. It is always constant in your mind. It's something about what you don't like about yourself, you know, or even whether it's self-esteem or self-image or just anything, you know, noticing that you're grieving and you have not fully grieved properly and, you know, you always are on the defensive end or someone's telling you, more than one person's telling you something about yourself.
Check on it.
Check on it. And it doesn't mean it's bad.
No.
It doesn't mean it's bad. And I don't want people to think that things have to be bad or you have to be signified as bad to get it. It's really your self-investment.
There you go.
Invest in yourself.
I love that. Yeah.
Invest in yourself.
I like to say, just be the best version, better version of yourself.
I love it. I love
That's it. I want to be better every single day.
Exactly.
I agree.
You know?
I agree.
I was one of those people who I was scared to go. I said, oh, I'm not crazy. I'm not going to see a therapist. But then that first session, oh my.
Yes,
it just
it
unraveled a
blows you
whole. I
away.
said, "Oh my goodness."
Yes,
It definitely works.
it works.
Yes, it definitely works.
It
And I would
works.
even not only mental health issues, even couples. Just
Yes.
yes. Even if
Yes.
you're not even having issues,
That's right.
Still
just
need
go
to go.
and
Just go.
Yes.
Let that be a date night.
Yes.
Yes, like-
and I get that too. I'm like, we just want to make sure that we're compatible
That's
and
it.
that we are talking and discussing
There you
everything
go.
we need to discuss. I'm like, that's cool.
Right.
You know, it's helpful. And especially if this is a person that is potential for you, you know, why not? Why not dig a little
Right.
deeper
Yeah.
and know what you're going to deal
Yeah,
with?
It's healthy.
It is
It's
healthy.
Even
Those are-
after being married for 10 years,
Listen,
20 years.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
Still-
we change, situations
Thank you.
change,
grow.
Yes.
things heighten up.
Mhm.
Who expected the world to be where it is today?
Yes.
Right.
So take advantage of that and just, you know, like I said, if everyone could do a session at least
Yes.
once.
Just do
It
it.
doesn't have to be in person.
Just
It could
do
be
it.
virtual.
It could be virtual, yep. It
But
be
how could they
virtual.
contact you
Oh.
if they needed, if they wanted to do that?
Well, I am on Psychology Today as
Okay.
Ishmel
All right.
Cerisier. My website is under Essential Life Counseling and Family Services.
Okay.
And my phone number is 863-677-6128.
That's right,
I
okay.
am openly accepting clients.
Okay, good.
And my niche, once again, is couples marital problems or just couples therapy in general.
Mm-hmm.
I do adolescents and I do individual counseling with
Good.
emphasis on trauma, any depression, and
Mm-hmm.
anxiety.
That's awesome. We need that.
We
Yeah.
definitely
We really do need that,
We
Ishmael.
appreciate everything that you're doing.
Thank
We really
you.
do. Ish, we're going to do a candid minute with you before we get out of here. How do you separate your personal time and your business to protect your mental health?
Okay, so I have designated time that I have for myself.
Good.
And I'm very strict about it.
Okay.
So from 7 p.m.
That's
my
my time.
That's it. Mm-hmm.
You know, weekends, I do see clients during on Saturday mornings.
Okay.
But after 2 o'clock Saturday to 8 in the morning on Monday morning,
Good for you.
that is
Good for
it.
you.
I love
And
it.
that is my cutoff time. That is my me time.
Okay.
Right.
You know, you got to put away the phone. And of course, if there's an emergency, I have a message for that.
Good.
But just making sure that you're limiting access.
Good.
So that you don't run up your personal and your business
Yes,
life together.
yes,
That's
yes.
right. I love,
Love
it.
it.
And it
Love it.
works.
Because you can't help somebody else if you can't get
That's
your
right.
time for
Yes.
yourself.
That's right. And I want to be available
Yes, ma'am.
Right.
spiritually,
Yes.
mentally,
Yes.
physically,
That's right.
so I could be able to help you and help the clients and
Yes.
so forth.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
We
Yes.
thank you.
I'm glad to be here. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome.
You're welcome.
Thank you all for joining us and for your continued support. Please join us next Tuesday at 6 p.m. for another inspirational guest from our community. In closing, it is important to share personal experiences in order to help end the stigma surrounding mental illnesses. Just a reminder, I want you to remember 3 things. You matter, you are loved, and everything will be okay. You are not alone. Please contact the NAMI helpline if you need assistance at 1-800-950-6264. Crisis text line at text NAMI to 741-741. We are real sisters sharing real stories within our community. We thank you for tuning in to Let's Talk About It, the Candid Conversation Show.
Come on, let's have a candid conversation. Let's talk about it. Just bring it up with that hope and love.
Yeah.
It's all about you and your well-being. The Candid Conversation Show. Let's go. Let's talk about it.